So the stock market has started correcting a little bit, and in the crypto markets, Bitcoin has been disappointing many for many, many months, and we are starting to roll over. No one has expected these kind of moves to happen this late into the cycle, and same goes for Ethereum. There seems to be a general sense of a lot of fear. If you look at my right side over here, this is just the markets in general. A lot of the hopefuls who went into GME, they've lost a lot of money. People in Amazon, their stock has been flat for a year, and now they're losing a lot of money. Netflix, those guys got lost a lot of money. ARK down 50%. All the guys in Peloton. So things in general are, people have lost a lot of money, so people are very fearful. And if you go into cryptocurrency, the subreddit, the most upvoted thing is this post, and it's basically saying that the crash has already started. The pace at which the stock market is going down can very likely cause a situation like we've seen in 2008. So basically, people are saying that this itty little pullback that we see is going to cause another economic depression. And my view is that this is not at all the case yet. And my view on Bitcoin is that and generally the crypto markets, is that it's generally going to continue on with it's the next leg of the bull run. It's going to go back up to 150K in, June, July, August. And it's going to do its normal thing. And it's going to do that as long as the equity market does not crash like it would in the dot-com bubble or the Great Recession crash. So why do I say this? Why do I think this isn't, people, so in general, the macro outlook is that we're in this end game now. Things politically aren't good. Things socially aren't good. A lot of institutions aren't working anymore. We printed way too much money. There's way too much debt. The dollar's going to fall apart. There's going to be hyperinflation, the Great Reset. So that's the general lay of the land, sentiment of the day. And although I do some of those things will happen economically, I don't think it's going to happen in this specific pullback that we're seeing right now. I don't think this guy is correct. So I do think we're going to pull back a little bit, but why not? Why do I not think it's happening yet? Well, if we look at this chart that I have over here, this is the logarithmic chart of SPX, and basically we're in this upper section now, and historically what that means is that we're going to see a very big bubble that's going to last longer than most people would expect. However, during these times, so think about the bubble during the dot-com bubble, right? We go through this upper echelon and the stock market is up tremendously, and then we see this this 25%, 24% pullback in the equity market. And that's a very temporary thing. And we continued for the rest of the bubble until for another 2 years or a year and a half. And so my argument is that something similar is happening. And I'm not using any fundamentals. I know that. I'm using just the charts. But I'm just saying that considering that our equity market has pretty much doubled since March of 2020, I think it was bound to have some sort of pullback. And I think this pullback, this candle over here, is similar to what we see over here. And no, I'm not trying to use fractals, but I'm just trying to say that I think we still have a lot longer to go. So basically, I don't want to become too dependent on these logarithmic bands, my ghetto logarithmic bands, because it's just not a good thing to be too. I've caught myself becoming too reliant on these things. So I started giving myself some margin of error. So I used to think that we have to reach this line before this big crash happens and we start this period of underperformance. But then I looked back for a second and I looked over here that sometimes we don't necessarily need to reach the top end of a band in order for stuff to happen. So I decided to give myself some margin of error. And also not only that, but if we look at sometime in the 50s and the 60s, there were times when we kept hitting the top end of the band, went back down, and we kept retesting it over and over again. So I don't exactly know what's going to happen, but I do know not much is going to happen until we reach the top end of this area over here, this zone. So I still think that the stock market can still double. No, not double, excuse me. But I still think that we still have some ways to go in the stock market. We could still be going up another 10, 12% from the previous all-time high. And that's mostly because I don't think much is going to happen yet until we reach the top end of these zones, which historically has been turning points in the market. So dot-com bubble over here, Great Depression over here, and in this area over here was the great inflation era. This was the Great Recession, Great Financial Crisis. So yeah, these things are pretty reliable. And another thing that we want to show is, shout out to my brother, he introduced this thing called the VMACD to me. And basically what it does is it helps you see these crossovers. So historically, when these crossovers happen, there's a pullback, and we're seeing it right now. So I don't want to say that things are going to get a whole lot worse, but it definitely could be, because the last time we crossed over here was quite a while ago. And anytime there's a significant gap in between crossovers, that tends to be quite the pullback. So this one was around 11%, and you see this one crosses over again. This is around 19-20%, and you just go back in general to this candle that we see over here. You see that it was also a crossover, and that was a 19-20% pullback. So definitely we could be seeing 10-20% pullbacks. But again, I would like to say, I'm going to say this in my future video, and I'm going to say this now, I don't think this is the end of everything. I think we're going to recover, and I don't think it's just too early. It's just too early for everything to go to shit. And yeah, so before I click off, I just want to say my personal bias is that I have most of my money in crypto, specifically Bitcoin, Ethereum, and I am incentivized to say that the stock market isn't going to crash down like this, because I think that that's going to really affect crypto. So that's my bias. I'm basically saying I want this to just do something like this in order for crypto to continue on for the rest of its bull market. So that's my bias. But I do think I am pretty confident. I am pretty confident that Bitcoin, although it does look really bad and although it hasn't been doing much, I do think it could go down to this. But since the stock market is probably not going to crash 50-60%, and it could potentially only crash 10-20%, I think it's going to significantly pull back for sure. But it's just going to go back up and continue the next leg of its bull run and complete its cycle. So yeah, that's just my opinion. Definitely not financial advice. Don't listen to guys like him. Guys like him, they're usually too early. And Biden's approval rating, what does that have to do with the stock market? I have no idea. And yeah, I hope you guys liked the video. Give it a thumbs up. Please subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.